So just to introduce this segment, so in case you don't know what Doctor Who is, I mean, it's pretty much the most famous British show I can think of. So it's about a Time Lord called the Doctor, who travels around in a spaceship called the TARDIS, which is essentially a blue telephone box, and has usually a female companion and have all sorts of adventures with Daleks and all that.
It's not a telephone box, it's a police box, Jack.
Yeah, my bad. I should have known that. I should have said that. It is a police box, yeah, with a phone though. So it's kind of a phone box.
And the reason why it's like shaped like a police guy is because the TARDIS was originally designed to, whenever it get into a different time period, it would take the form of a thing that would look very common in that time period. So, but the thing broke and it's permanently stuck like that. But he kept it because, hey, it was cool.
Budget reasons.
Yeah, budget reasons also.
They actually, as a side note, in the original production, they did want to have the TARDIS change shape every time, but they could not afford that, so they just made it stick as a police box. And that's why, again, in case you didn't know, Doctor Who actually originated all the way back in the 60s.
I know this.
Yes, I think the Guinness Book of World Records actually awarded Doctor Who as the longest science fiction series ever made, and still running today.
I think in 1989 it got cancelled because of low ratings, and actually it was the BBC's fault for not giving it the attention it deserved, because the controller at the time of the BBC hated Doctor Who. So that's why about the time of the 6th Doctor it went to shit. That was the BBC's fault. So anyway, then it got revival, not a reboot, a revival in 2005 with the 9th Doctor. So
Christopher Eccleston.
Right, so there's supposed to be a loose continuity connecting everything. So Series 8 recently came on with a brand new Doctor played by Peter Capaldi, who, if you don't know him, he probably was most famous for portraying Malcolm Tucker in a series called The Thick of It, which is amazing. I highly recommend that.
Yes, I've actually seen it. It is a British show, but it's a political a political comedy of sorts. But it's very good. Capaldi plays a
spin doctor.
How do I say it? A character who's well known for saying the most profane things and make it funny in a way.
Right.
That's cool.
Basically, the British Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah. Well, not sort of.
Salt.
With less hookers, really.
Yeah, less hookers, cocaine, heroin, dicks.
This is a good description of the show, I think.
Yeah.
So
I bet your guys are disappointed.
Yeah. So Series 8 just finished. Personally, for me, it was a very mixed bag. What do you guys think? Who's seen it?
I haven't watched.
I've seen the first half of this season.
Okay.
I've only seen one episode.
Alright.
I was busy with school, so I couldn't see much shows, so I don't know, maybe I'll during my break, Christmas break or something, I'll probably check it out.
Alright, so I'm kind of the field expert here, so I'll speak. For me, the reason why it was a mixed bag was because there were a few episodes that were good, and there were some great moments in it, but on the whole, there is a lack of cohesiveness, and that is the head writer's fault, the showrunner, Stephen Moffat. Moffat. That's how we say it. That's how we say it all politely, pal. So, just to a small recap. So, when Doctor Who first started in 2005, in the revival, the head writer at that time was Russell T Davies, who was a massive fan of the show. So he wrote for 4 series and a few specials. And it really comes across in his writing, all the references to the old show, how he lovingly maintains the continuity and all that stuff. Stephen Moffat wrote a few episodes for Doctor Who in that time, the much acclaimed Blink, The Lonely Child, The Empty Child rather, Silence in the Library, and others. So when it was announced that he was going to take over the show running, everyone was really excited because he's a very good writer. But the problem with Stephen Moffat is he sacrifices continuity for the sake of his own plot, and he leaves plot holes. And he said to himself that he doesn't like trying to explain plot holes. He thinks the fans will do it for him, which is just fucking lazy. It really pisses me off.
Oh man, that sounds so familiar.
That thing is actually seen in the very, very first episode of
That's lovely.
of Series 8. When I forgot her companion's name, Jenna Coleman's character. I forgot what's her name again. Clara
Oswald.
For some strange reason, isn't familiar with the Doctor's regeneration, despite the fact she had time traveled to meet the previous Doctors.
Right.
When she was still with Matt Smith, which is the previous Doctor. So at that point, Clara should have already known that this Doctor can regenerate to different forms. In fact, it was Clara who actually helped Matt Smith regenerate to the next incarnation. And for some reason, in the first episode, which actually turned me off completely with the series, is that for some reason she's not even aware that she was that he can regenerate for some reason and cannot change back.
Well, I think that's not to me.
Doesn't the Doctor explain this to them?
Well,
Like, I remember, I've only seen the 2 seasons of the Regenerated series, or however you pronounce it. Wasn't there like key points where he explained it before he was going to regenerate, and he explains this to them? It's like the first thing that comes to his mind. He gives them the backstory of what he is, what he does, how he works.
Yeah,
Well,
I can explain that. To me, that's not really a plot hole. I mean, it is kind of a reaction you wouldn't so much expect. But bear in mind, like, Clara and the 11th Doctor were very close, so he was kind of like her doctor, right? So she was more afraid of this unknown figure because
the same thing kind of happened with Rose when her Doctor regenerated.
To me, the continuity aspect is just it's not even kept over from like the 60s or 70s. It's in the revival show. So to give you an example, in Series 1 of the revival episode, there's a really great episode called Father's Day where Rose creates a paradox by saving her father when he should have died, right? And there is a moment where she touches her past self, which something bad happens, right? In the 50th anniversary, which is aired about 4 or 5 years later, the Doctors shake hands and nothing bad happens. Not to mention the Christmas special with Michael Gambon, he hugs his past self. Nothing happens. This isn't something that happened like 40 years ago. It's very recently established. You can't touch your past self without something bad happening. And he just blatantly ignores it just for the sake of his own story.
Right.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And all it would take is one line. Even if it's complete bullshit, like the Doctor could have said, time is more easygoing here, or the TARDIS has done this.
That's just as fuck.
Or it's like, it doesn't work with Time Lords or whatever.
Yeah. It would be so simple, just one line, but he's so lazy and
just, oh my, I haven't heard something that lazy since, like,
but granted, it's actually kind of smart because he's getting more hardcore fans to get engaged.
In a bad way.
In a bad way.
Yeah, like everyone hates Moffat.
True, but if people are getting into it.
But in a bad way, like people want him to go. I want him gone now. I didn't want him gone last series, but I'm just sick of him.
Really? I've only seen the first half of the most recent series, but I like it a lot better than Series 7.
Like it's like a double-edged sword, if you sort of think about it. But more like you're stabbing your own ass, though.
Yeah, I mean, Carson, do you know who Missy is?
No.
Okay, I won't. For me, that was a massive point of contention. I won't give anything away, but however you feel about the result, you can't deny that once again it's never been brought up in the continuity. Like, you would have never expected it to happen. I mean, for that reason, I'm against the decision made and who she is. When they could have brought back another character. Right. You'll understand when you watch it.
All right.
So I'm just against the continuity.
Yeah.
And once again, like, just one simple line would have made it go down so much easier to explain, because there's so much left unexplained. And again, in recent history, some stuff at the end of series 4 that you're just going to be thinking, like, well, how did she do this? How did she do that?
Right.
I mean, it's hard to talk about if you guys haven't seen it, but
well, I mean, if you want to spoil it, I don't really care that much.
No, it's not worth it.
Grant, let's give a couple of points for Moffat, because he did make some contributions towards the Doctor Who as a franchise. His main contribution in this, that he did manage to introduce Doctor Who to the United States when Matt Smith took over.
Really?
Yes, that's a lot of fans. You'll see a lot of fans did say that, and a lot of news articles would say that it was through Moffat, or whatever his name was. How do you pronounce his name? That he was able to introduce Doctor Who to the United States when Matt Smith took over. But that was perhaps his only contribution, aside from Sherlock, which is another series that I actually love. But back to Doctor Who. That said, every Doctor Who fan, if they're ranking their best Doctors, it would be either Tom Baker, the third Doctor from the 70s or 80s, or in a more recent one, David Tennant, the 10th Doctor, which was under Russell T Davies.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe it was different in America, but like in Canada, I found that Doctor Who kind of blew up when it was David Tennant.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I'm also Canadian, so I can agree with you with that.
Yeah.
But still haven't been interested in watching it, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, Doctor Who is such a strange thing to me because, like, I watched it all and I really, really liked it. But when I go back and, like, look through the episodes, I'm like, wow, okay, that one sucked, that one sucked, that one sucked, that one sucked. Why do I like this show? Like,
yes. It's because when Doctor Who is good, no matter who's writing it, when it's good, it's some of the best drama on TV. A perfect example is The Waters of Mars. Have you seen that episode?
The Waters of Mars.
No, I don't think I have.
I don't think I have.
No, I have. That's the one where they get all like.
So it's David Tennant. It's towards the end of his tenure as the Doctor.
I remember that one.
So very briefly, the plot is it's 2052. The Doctor ends up going to a moon base on Mars, and he realizes that everyone there is going to die, like, and it's written in stone. He cannot do anything because it's a fixed point in time. So you have this really, really good, not even dilemma, because he can literally do nothing but watch these people die, even when they're begging for his help. And the monsters are fantastic. They're really scary for, 12. So for me, that is the pinnacle of Doctor Who. Like, that's when it's good. It's really good. When it's shit, it's proper shit. For example, fucking Absorbaloff from Love and Monsters. What were they thinking?
I don't know. And the thing is like, before, it's not a bad episode until you get to the last 5 minutes, and it's just like, what the fuck?
I can actually explain the backstory of that very quickly. There was BBC.
Go nuts.
BBC
it was a contest, right?
Yeah, and the child won, and he drew the Absorbaloff. But the Absorbaloff he drew was nothing like what was on TV. He imagined Absorbaloff to be this massive monster, like the size of a city, that the Doctor had to fight. Love and Monsters was a cheap episode that they didn't have a lot of the Doctor or Rosen because they were busy filming other shit. So they had to be There's a very limited episode in that respect. And then, for some reason, I thought, we'll put the Zorbaloff here, and Peter Kane can play him with a loincloth and a fucking cane.
It made no sense. Like,
What?
I kind of liked seeing how like the Doctor affected like people,
Right.
you know, in the real world. But then like all of a sudden, like the last 5-10 minutes of the episode was just like, what the fuck is going on? And then the chick becomes like a tile on the ground, and then they start dating.
Oh, that episode.
And then there's the fucking
It's sick.
blowjob joke, and I'm like, what is going on?
It's actually a
God.
fate worse than death, if you ask me. Like, you have to not only be a face on a stone
Oh god.
forever,
Take a blowjob.
but you have to give head for the rest of your life. You have to watch everybody you love, including your beloved boyfriend, die.
Yeah.
So
What's
it's,
going to happen in 1,000 years' time?
So,
It's just-
so like, she's a living glory hole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's such an apt description.
Yeah. Oh god.
Man, that's
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
Oh yeah, had to remind me of that. Oh god. Oh,
So what's your? I mean, we'll spend like another five odd minutes. I'm aware I've talked quite a lot. So what are your highlights of this series?
I really liked the first episode. I thought it was a little light on story, but I liked seeing the characters interact. And like in series 7, I didn't feel like Clara had any sort of character at all. She was just someone for the Doctor to talk to, which I mean is the purpose, but it shouldn't be the only thing that the character is, right? And then all of a sudden in the first episode, she had, you know, a personality and a character to her, and it carries out through at least the half of the series that I've seen. I've seen up to the Caretaker, I think, or maybe no.
That was a shit episode.
What was it?
Kill the
No, I haven't seen Kill the Moon yet, so I'm up to it.
okay. Just to say, it's got some really, really great and thoughtful stuff in it,
Mhm.
but you really have to stretch your imagination with the plot. It's classic Who. It really splits people, like if they like Doctor Who or not.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
So yeah,
Sorry,
like-
just another note. With Clara, you said she got more attention, yeah?
yeah.
That's actually a complaint for the whole series. I don't know if you've noticed it, but it carries on right through the end.
Well, that's what I was gonna get to there, because like
Okay, I'll let you do it then.
in the first episode, I really liked that all of a sudden like she had a character, and like I wanted to see more of her. But then it turned into her show, like, and the character's just like the goofy sidekick. Sorry, the
Precisely.
Doctor's just a goofy sidekick, and I'm like, what's going on? And I mean, I like what Peter Capaldi is doing with the Doctor, but I also think he has become the sidekick, and that even was happening before with Matt Smith. Like, he was becoming this child and this like sidekick, and they kind of, I don't know, they were kind of walking the line with Matt Smith, and now they've just gone full tilt and it's not the Doctor's show anymore.
I would also say two quick things now. One, that's especially a big deal because since it's Peter Capaldi's debut, you need he's new. Some people have never seen a Time Lord regenerate as well. They might have just started with Matt Smith, so they need to be, and he's quite old as well. I mean, I'm fine with it, but some people have only been used to a young Doctor. So you really needed to sell it, and because it focused so much on Clara, the Doctor got sidelined. He didn't have enough room to grow.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, Listen was really great for that, and so is Kill the Moon.
I don't know. I didn't really like Listen all that much. I liked the Doctor in Listen, but it just didn't make sense to me what they were doing.
I would also say this series finale. I mean, whatever you say about it, his Doctor gets some really great moments, and you finally learn like, yeah, he's the Doctor. You just accept it. Like he has so many great moments in that.
Yeah, I mean,
he gets a lot
I
of
don't
room.
know. I think the same thing kind of happened with like Matt Smith, because like when he first came in, he was all like goofy and weird, and I was like, why is the Doctor like this child that needs to be taken care of? But then like he kind of grew into this like badass kind of character,
Yeah.
and so I feel like that can happen, but I don't know. It's just strange to me that like they built the character up only to bring him down again, like immediately. Also, what do you think about Pink? I have no idea how I feel about him.
Once again, I think he's vapid, a dullard, really sucks you out of the sci-fi universe. But again, in the season finale, he's really good in that. And this is my main problem with Moffat. Like, he can write a good opening, gets you interested, a good finale with some plot holes, good drama, but everything in between, he has no quality control, and he has he focuses the absolute minimum on any story arc. Like,
so Jonathan Glazer wrote those few episodes.
I mean, for example, so you've noticed there's some sort of phone call, and when people die, this mysterious agency picks them up, right?
Yeah.
You get literally nothing added to it until the series finale. You just keep seeing Missy and this other bloke.
Right.
I mean, you don't need to do loads. Just a little bit extra at a time would be nice.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I like, with going back to Pink, I like the fact that he like was a soldier, and you get that like tension between him and the Doctor, because like the Doctor was the soldier and blah blah blah, and he doesn't like guns, and so you get that, but you don't get enough of it for it to be worth it for me.
Anybody, any thoughts?
None.
I will say I like the tone that they went for. It was more like, I don't know, it was a little darker, not in like content, but just aesthetic.
Yeah.
And I liked it.
The finale's really dark, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to give anything away, but I would say it's one of the most dark and morbid episodes of the Revival series. Anybody else? I'm aware we've talked about Doctor Who for quite a long time, so... George?
A little thing. Jonathan Glazer is the writer and director of Under the Skin. That's why I mentioned that. Which is, by the way, possibly the worst movie I've ever seen.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah. Seriously, what you said pretty much sums up Under the Skin in like that 2 sentences.
Right.
Anyway, as for my thoughts on the Doctor Who season, the one episode I did see was the one before the finale. I watched like the first 5 minutes of the finale, but then my computer crashed on me and I forgot the site. I liked it. It was when it turns out that I'm not gonna spoil it, but it turns out one of the old nemesis of the Doctor is actually alive, and I thought it was really cool, like what they were setting up for the next episode, and I thought they had some decent build-up, and it reminded me a little bit of why I really liked watching Doctor Who originally, because I was like obsessed with Doctor Who for like a good amount of, I think a few months when I watched the David Tennant and I forget the other guy, David Tennant, those
Christopher
seasons.
Eccleston?
Yes, that's him.
Oh man.
And
my favourite Doctor, by the way.
Oh really?
Christopher Eccleston?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll wrap that up. After you finish talking, George, I'll just ask people who their favourite Doctor is. So.
Oh yeah. Anyway, I'll probably finish the season if it comes to Netflix and I catch up on the series. But from what I've seen of it, it seems like it's a good enough show. But I've heard, I do hear that it's like very, very hit and miss as opposed to like some other seasons. But when you really think about it, like there are like a lot of Doctor Who episodes that aren't that good. Like you said, that aren't that great. When it's great, it's really great. But when it's bad, it's like the Love and Monsters.
I think like the perfect episode to illustrate that is the Van Gogh one, because like you watch it and the monster's a giant chicken, and like a giant invisible chicken, and it's just so stupid.
Which episode is that one? Is that the Da Vinci one?
Van Gogh.
Oh yeah, Van Gogh. Well, it wasn't a chicken.
Like right? Like it's so stupid, and they have to fight this stupid invisible chicken.
Hold on a minute.
And then
Wayne?
I'm sorry. They have to fight a giant invisible chicken.
Chickens are dangerous these days.
But then you have this like great emotional, like tear-jerking
Dear me.
moment with Van Gogh at the end that makes everyone go like, "Oh, that was an amazing episode."
Yes.
But then you look back and it's actually such a shit episode, except for like those few moments.
Yeah.
And that is Doctor Who.
Absolutely. I could not agree more.
I'm sorry. I stopped listening after you said giant invisible chicken.
Oh fuck.
All right, just to finish off
I
this.
seriously think that is the stupidest thing I have ever heard. I think that is single-handedly the stupidest thing I have ever heard in my life.
I mean,
And I've heard a lot of stupid shit.
in its defense, it wasn't a chicken; it was like a dinosaur kind of thing. But it's still.
Dinosaur chicken?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Well, dinosaurs are inherent from birds, is the thing, so that would make sense, kind of.
So, just to finish this off very briefly, who's your favourite Doctor that you've seen in action and why? Carson?
Probably David Tennant, because I don't know, he was just the perfect balance of like stoic and goofy, and and you know, I spent the most time with him at like one time because I just marathoned his seasons. But Ninth is definitely a close second. I felt like he was ripped away too soon.
Well put.
Yeah.
George?
Yeah. I'm gonna have to agree with Carson. Tenet is probably my favorite, but I think it's part of the reason for what Carson said. But I think another reason why I think he works so well is that he. For those of you who don't, I found out about this very early on when I was watching his seasons, is that he was inherently a fan of Doctor Who ever since he was a kid, and you can see him like he's driving his passion. He's literally living his dream through his performance and finally getting to be the Doctor, and it really shows how much in love with the series franchise that he is. And I think he gives off a great performance, and he's so entertaining to watch, and he gives like truly great performances. And I haven't seen him that much, but I've been trying to see him in more. I think he's been in like a BBC adaptation of Hamlet, which I've been trying to see, and I've been interested in checking that out.
Have you seen
that's good,
Tenet
Yeah,
in Grace Point?
I have not. I have not seen Grace Point.
Also, check him out in a BBC a BBC drama called Einstein in Eddington, sorry.
Oh.
So that's about in the 1920s, I think. Yeah, early 1920s of Einstein trying to prove relativity and Eddington being the one who proves it, and all the complications with that. It's actually really good. He plays Eddington. Andy Serkis, interestingly, plays Einstein in it as well.
Huh, interesting. Anyway, that wraps up my thoughts. Oscar and/or Ryoga?
Anybody else?
Well,
Ryoga?
I never.
Sorry, Oscar then?
Well, I never was really, to be honest. I've not really liked Doctor Who. I mean, I can see why it's good, but it wasn't my cup of tea. I didn't really enjoy it. But from what I've seen of it, I've got to say I've just liked David Tennant's Doctor, 10th Doctor. In a sense, he kept me very, how can I say, very entertained. He actually made me want to he actually made me enjoy the series. And yeah, and made me sort of get past the stigma of hating the show.
Well put. Ryger?
I actually grew up watching Tom Baker as the Doctor, and after that, I left the series and moved on. Then got back when I saw Matt Smith with the two-parter regarding the Angels, and then went back to watching the new series again. And I did personally love David Tennant because I think of all the Doctors I've seen from the Revive series, Tennant's the one who actually has the most emotional with the situation he's in. That I could actually tell that from his characters that he's living a tragedy with what he's gone through and how many companions have came with him and left him. So that's actually so I put him at the top along with Tom Baker, and the third would be the second Doctor, Patrick Troughton, because he's the funniest Doctor.
That's that's a really interesting perspective.
Yeah.
All right.
You were going to start Doctor?
So just finishing off Doctor and then movie of the week. I'm aware we've run over it a bit. So my favourite Doctor, I said earlier, is the Ninth Doctor, played by Christopher Eccleston. For this reason, I had no idea about Doctor Who until the Revival series came on. My mum made me watch it because she was a really big fan. And when I started watching it, I can't remember how old I was, but I had never seen anything like it. I was really engrossed. And Christopher Eccleston just... you say the 11th Doctor, David Tennant Doctor, was stoic. I'd say he's more heroic. The Ninth Doctor is stoic. He's got very stern. He carries the weight of what happened heavier. It's heavier on his shoulders. I really like... He's kind of more anti-hero than the other Doctor. Yeah, I just find that he's more darker than the other Doctors. And he actually had like a better quality set of episodes. I think it's to be honest, I think I unfortunately have this nostalgia bias, which I normally hate nostalgia being the reason to like something, but I really can't help it. I've never seen anything like it. I'd really like David Tennant though.
I agree though, because like I mean, even I don't know. It's like sorry. I started talking before I knew what I was going to say. No, I kind of agree with like the nostalgia thing, but it's weird because I watched it all together at the same time, like both the 9 and the 10 and the 11th all together, but yet I still have this like feeling of nostalgia attached to 9, and it's the strangest thing.
Right. I also thought the writing was very good for him, especially introducing all these ideas such as time travel, laws, and regeneration. His regeneration did make me cry when I watched it the first time as a kid, and it still gets me every time. The music is so good. David Tennant is extremely likable. I really do like him, but I just kind of prefer the Ninth. For the reasons I said.
Yeah.
You know what? You may have swayed me towards the 9th.
I tell you, one of my favourite moments of the Ninth Doctor is the very first episode when Rose asks him who he is, and he takes her by the hand, and he's just like, how he can feel all of time and space, and the music as well underneath. It's kind of surreal and alien. And it just really pulls you into his character. The 11th and 12th Doctors don't really have that. I mean, I think Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi both do really great jobs at performing, but they don't have the episodes to really support them.
Yeah, and I think another thing too is like the 9 and 10 had like the Time War like trauma.
Yes, yeah,
and
that
was like there was a really like deep kind of aspect to both of their stories, whereas 11 and 12 don't really have that baggage.
Yeah, survivor guilt. With the classic Doctors, I haven't watched them all, but I've seen quite a lot. Tom Baker obviously is absolutely amazing. I think if he was in the Revival series today, he may be one of my favourite Doctors, but the problem with him is because it's the classic series, the production is a lot cheaper. I'm not so keen on the way it's shot. It's more soap opera. The music, some people prefer it. I don't really. I think it's kind of cheesy. And that basically sums up. The classic series is more cheesy and dated, and unfortunately that works against him. That's my thoughts.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry for getting into Doctor Who. I'm aware we talked about it far too long. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah.
That's what would happen for us. I think if I were to do anime, I'd absolutely get carried away.
Because
Sorry.
Doctor Who is my favourite show. I mean, as exactly as you said, Carson. Like, you kind of look back at the episodes and goes, actually, that was all really shit apart from that one bit. But
Yeah.
I just really like it. I find it really inspiring.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. Those moments make it worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.